I have us having to go through 4 steps in order to differentiate. We have to start out with more awareness, what this is all about. We've got to encounter whatever we're being aware of. We've got to accept whatever we're encountering. We've got to do something with that encounter, and then we've got to wait until we reorder ourselves to behave in a different way. So I have number 1, the first step is to experience with awareness. I had you experiencing with awareness when you had him be the father part of you. That was your projection onto him of some important part of you. That's you doing you up here, and you put this projection onto him. Okay. Now, you were aware that you were doing that. That's critical. Now, that you were aware, you were conscious that you were making this projection onto him. You were having him be the father part of you. Okay. You don't like the father part of you in this case. He's a punishing part of you. So that's something that you have to, on the one hand, resist, but you also need to encounter that part of you and accept that part of you as a part of you. And you did when you said, when you had yourself perceive him as the father part of you, and you're going to resist the father part of you, you're not going down. So you're now dealing with the father part of you, not him. He's only the vehicle by which you perceive and experience.
This comment is central to the work. The other, in this case the lab partner, is essential to our own growth. By more intentionally differentiating ourselves, we become accountable for what we project onto the other. This accountability is the beginning of right action in any relationship. By this practice, we train ourselves not to saddle others with the burdens of our own unlived lives.
Okay, so first you have to experience with awareness. Secondly, you have to encounter with acceptance. You had to encounter the father part of you and stay there, not run away. Stay there and meet that part of you and then do something with that part of you. Okay, so you meet the father part of you, you stay and encounter the father part of you, you overcome the father part of you with the determination or the refusal to go to the floor. So you resist the father part of you. Okay? Now, in resisting the father part of you and resisting the father part of you and resisting the father part of you, all of a sudden you discover you don't have to give in. Okay? That's step number 3, which is enlightenment. You enlightened yourself that you didn't have to give in to him anymore. And you acknowledge that to yourself. And you lightened yourself in the process of acknowledging yourself. Okay? Now, with this new acknowledgement, you're a different person than you were when you started all this.
Yes.
Because you got a different father in you now than you had before. Okay? Therefore, I have that once we reorganize ourselves with this new peace in us, there's more to us. We're more differentiated, we're more complex, we've got more options, so we always come out stronger. So what I heard you say is I felt lighter. I have be that you felt stronger. You were more certain of where you were and more certain of what you're going to do. Okay, that's step number 4, which is to execute, that's to be, with authority. That you know more and more confidence about where you are and how you're doing yourself.
Yeah,
Okay?
I was conscious I'd put my feet down really hard.
Good.
And I wasn't going to be moved.
Okay.
In fact, I leaned against the wall. I had my...
These 4 steps I have be necessary for any self-differentiation, and I have us always go through them. I have that be this is all the theory that we need to understand everything that goes on in the lab, but I need to know where I am in each one of these steps because I may choose to experience myself with awareness, and then encounter some part of me I can't stand, and so I run. Then I won't move across here.
Yeah.
I got to get through all 4 steps, and then I come out over here.
So why might I get stuck at any one step?
You might not be able to tolerate the awareness. You might not be able to tolerate the ache or the rage.
That would be in this step
or
here.
whatever you feel. That'd be step 1.
Yeah.
You encounter her, and there she is again. I won't have anything to do with her, and I leave. I just leave the scene. I'm not going to have anything to do with her at all. In which case, I'm not encountering her. I'm removing myself from her, or I may deaden myself. I may just collapse and go down, so that there's no encounter between me and her. If I encounter her, and stay in that encounter, I will do something with the her in me. I'll deal with her in some way. I'll experience myself as dealing with her in some way. And as I do that, I encounter, or I develop, or I experience a me that's more resistant to her, less vulnerable to her than I was a half an hour before. So then I put myself together. I don't have to do this with her. I'm not going to do this with her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not running away. I will have nothing to do with it. So, then I feel stronger. I execute with authority now the next time I encounter the her and me. Did that go any way with how you experience yourself?
Yes. Because the experience I had when you were being tricky and wrecking my fingers and trying to stomp my feet.
When I had you be the tricky
When I had you be the
part of me.
tricky part of me and the stomping on my feet part of me, I wanted to stop myself and just say, look, let me press you. And I never did myself that way with my real mother because I didn't have that part of me accessible, which was just being straight part of me, and I want to make this kind of contact with you. So I gave myself that possibility, but didn't execute me that way.
Mm-hmm.
So next time around, I might just say, I want to press you so I can experience that part of me with you.
Well, here's a moment for no praise and no blame. And we come up against these moments every day in the lab as we're letting ourselves experiment ourselves in these activities.
What do you mean by no praise and no blame?
You did yourself the best you could with what you had at the moment. Nothing to praise, nothing to blame, just what is. A little experiment from which you can process through this lens.
And no praise for getting through the 4 steps, and no blame if you don't get through them. You do yourself however you're ready, willing, and able.
And if you make something out of your experience at lunch or at dinner or tomorrow or 3 years from now, be your own guest. If you don't, then this falls into the apperceptive mass. And maybe shows up again in a dream or at another lab. You'll find yourself here again. So the activity becomes again like a little snapshot of a possibility.
And you said the scene will come again. There's something that keeps us going through all this. There's some kind of an urge to have us complete this. So if we don't do it now, we will come up again, given half a chance. If we're too deprived and too punished and too abandoned as children, we may not have very much energy or very much resources to continue working on ourselves. But given a half a break, we'll work ourselves till we get out to the end here.
Well, you said you did Virginia 7 times before you satisfied yourself that you could let the her and you have a rest.
Yes. Yes.
I had a small aha, or I aha'd myself in listening to the two of you and watching this. In the 3 years that I've been working with this model in myself, I've had the most difficulty with enlightenment with acknowledgement. That's the phase that seemed the most amorphous to me. And I always had enlightenment be shedding light on. She said I felt lighter. Mm-hmm. She lightened herself. And suddenly I have a new interpretation of enlightenment. I lighten myself and acknowledge that I become lighter. And,
I was thinking as I was watching you too that as you were watching your wife do herself in relationship to the father part of her, in some sense her action would have an impact on your partnership. In such a way, the experience from the lab does impact marriage or long-term relatedness, in as much as we're essential to each other for our growing.
Well, that idea, I think, is important because I find this way of working on my own personal development a very practical one, because I've got some guidelines and I've got some tools and I've got a base of knowledge, and I can find a way to move myself with some degree of autonomy. I don't necessarily need the lab itself to be there all the time. It's not the point. The other part of it, though, is what you're saying about watching her, and that's the idea of bearing witness. That a lot of the work in this workshop is sitting in a circle as we report our experiences, because we're all so different. So if I hear 30 or 35 people report an experience, it's often very different than mine, but I also find new ways to get insight about how I experience that. Is that what you're saying? The lighten, for example?
Well, yes, I was understanding this process, that aspect of the process, which I had the abstract and amorphous, is suddenly very concrete, and I apprehend it in a new way.
You just illuminated yourself and acknowledged that, and you now
I
are
am enlightened and feel lighter.
more certain about your behavior.
I like myself, yes. And I'm also conscious of this aspect that Alexandra points out. I mean, Dottie has been going to these labs for many years now, and I have always benefited from that, as she has discovered more and more of the parts of herself and became more and more aware of where she is. She helps me to become more aware of where I am. And so I was conscious of that too, and seeing her really be all there in this experience and playing for keeps. And I awed myself with that.
The more she
Some-
accounts for
some-
the father in her, the
Well,
less you have to carry that
well,
part
well, that's
of the
certainly-
him and her for her.
Now, in this business of self-differentiating through these 4 steps, both Dottie and Michael encountered parts of themselves that were unpleasant parts of themselves, or unacceptable parts of themselves, or parts of themselves they had some kind of trouble with and didn't like and had to accept, and those parts of them. I think that, Alexandra, in your dream, you had an encounter with a part of you that you would like, that you would be glad to have in you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this be the other side of the street that we incorporate whatever is relevant for us at the moment. So could you say how you did yourself with the dream part of you?
Well, now that I let the dream just live in me like tarot cards, if you will, or paintings,
Mm-hmm.
I start to have these figures be the Holy Father, Russia, part of me, and the Holy Mother, Russia, part of me, from which I have had myself separated all my life, as my father's people had been separated from the homeland by war.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm integrating a cultural heritage part of me and an ethnic heritage part of me that I couldn't give myself any other way. I have myself notice, as I mind the dream in me again, that both the Holy Father Russia part of me and the Holy Mother Russia part of me and the dreaming part of me are troubled parts of me. And the children, the Russian children parts of me are worried parts of me. And I have me know that I'm also aware of how the global process is happening in Russia right now. And reminding myself that my heritage and the present are all one story. So I integrate me and delight myself to connect me with the roots and pain myself to know the turbulence out there in Russia and in here in the Russian part of me.
So as you encountered the Holy Russia part of you, you experienced the disturbance part of you, and
Which I have be collective.
confronted that part, that collective disturbance part of you, and made that a part of your psyche, a part of your apperceptive mass.
Yeah.
And now, how do you feel as a consequence of that? Is this a good thing for you? You pleased or?
I have me feel more rooted in my history
Okay.
part of me,
I'm looking for
in the historical part of me.
I'm looking for the execute with authority, and
Yes.
I am able to hear that part there.
Yes.
How you saying yourself?
I don't exile myself so totally.
So then I have each of us differentiating ourselves in this encounter, either with each other or your encounter with the dream parts of you.
Yeah.
And I have the encounter be a piece of experience. And I have this whole workshop be an experiential workshop. That's what we call it. It's a seminar on self-differentiation, but it's